Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Please comment, like, and subscribe. How are you guys doing this Tuesday morning? How was your St. Patrick's Day? Did you do anything special? I had a little event here where I work. Didn't do much though. Had a little surprises for the kiddos. That's mostly all I did. Went home. Police were out like crazy. There was a lot of people probably drinking and out driving, doing things that they shouldn't. So I kind of stayed in. I wanted to be on the safe side. But have you guys seen that 60 Minute Australia interview? I got a part here I want to show you. I'm pretty disappointed. I felt like, us as Americans, we put Gypsy on a pedestal. Why? I don't know. It's like ever since 2020, we're in an upside down universe. And why we are making her a celebrity, I can't understand it. It makes no sense to me. Why would we be glorifying a mama murderer? Why? And not only that, I thought more people would have reasoning skills and people would do research and come up with, hey, this doesn't make sense. But that's not what's going on. I was hoping that the Australian people would bring some of this to light and would be like, hey, Americans, wake up. Y'all are just, what is wrong with you? Why are you putting her on a pedestal? But nope, that's not what happened. Australia was going along with the narrative. They poured them a big old glass of Kool-Aid and they drank every bit of it. So guys, I got a piece on here that I want you guys to watch. Hold on just a second.
With Gypsy Rose in New Orleans, she is a victim or a murderer?
Look, this is a hard one, and I think a lot of our audience will probably feel the same. I'm torn. We delve into our story and we'll go into it a little bit later, but, she had a traumatic, controlling upbringing, and I can see why she snapped, and ultimately, he had a
Gypsy Rose Blanchard. Younger, Nikki, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me again.
I should say.
Thank you.
And we're here to discuss a fascinating story and character, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. I want to ask you first up, do you think after the time that we spent with Gypsy Rose in New Orleans, she is a victim or a murderer?
Look, this is a hard one, and I think a lot of our audience will probably feel the same. I'm torn. We delve into our story and we'll go into it a little bit later, but, she had a traumatic, controlling upbringing, and I can see why she snapped and ultimately, murdered her mum or was, helped murder her mum. So I understand. So I'm torn.
Yeah, she's a really interesting character. She was convicted of second-degree murder.
Yes.
For organising the brutal stabbing of her mother, Dee Dee Blanchard. And I think it's a question she says she gets asked a lot because she is a convicted felon in America. We caught up with her about a year after she left jail.
Yes.
Where she served 8.5 years of a 10-year service sentence, I should say, for second-degree murder. But she was also, as you say, very much a victim. She had an incredibly abusive childhood at the hands of her mother.
Yeah, she was controlled in all aspects of her life. She had no friends. She, was drugged to the point where she thought, she was mimicking symptoms of being unwell. Her mum shaved her head, put her in a wheelchair, said she had leukemia. An interesting point, which she says in our interview, is it wasn't until she got arrested that she actually didn't know that she didn't even
She
have.
still thought she had cancer.
Yeah.
Even when she was handcuffed and taken to
until her
holding
lawyer
cell.
was present, she didn't know that she didn't.
It's hard to imagine as a parent, but I think for anyone, a little child who's actually perfectly healthy and their parent, their mother, pretending that they are terminally ill. Her mother, Dee Dee, as you say, mimicked these illnesses, took her from hospital to hospital, confined her to a wheelchair that she didn't need, told everyone she couldn't walk. She could walk. She knew she could.
It just sickens me, this narrative that Gypsy has sold to the public, that her mother was so abusive, that she was so abused that she couldn't do anything. Every aspect of her life was dictated by her mother. But if all of this was dictated by her mother, how did she find the time to be able to talk to Nicholas Godejohn as much as she did? Anybody ever thought about that? How did she talk to him and be able to manipulate him that much to go and do this deed? She also, this was not the first time that she tried to murder her mom. Remember, she picked up that BB gun, which in one story, she didn't know it was a BB gun. The next story, she knew it was a BB gun. I mean, it's just ridiculous trying to keep up with all of her lies. But how did... She was so abused. She went to Disney and stayed weeks at a time. She did things that a lot of us have never done. And a lot of kids will never even get the chance to go and do. But yet, she was so abused. And, that's why people don't watch the news. They don't watch things like 60 Minutes anymore. It's because of all of these lies. And they don't do their due diligence and research stories. I don't know if this has just happened or it's always been like that. I don't know, because you got to think, back in the day, the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, we didn't have the internet to be able to do our own research. So it just makes me wonder, all of these stories that the news and these news magazines that they brought us, even back in the day, how many of those did they get the narrative wrong? Because we know that they got the narrative wrong on the whole Gypsy Rose thing. And even Gyp Dip admitted that she didn't even know anything about Munchausen by proxy until Christy and her lawyer told her. And I was watching Dawn on the cutting board this morning. And, she's right. There's a lot more to blame than just Gypsy. You got Gypsy, but what about, where was Christy and Rod during all those 24 years of Gyp Dip growing up? Where were they? But they claim they love her so much. They love her so much that they couldn't take her out of a so-called abusive parent. They couldn't take her away from a so-called abusive parent. No, like I always said, what they love is they love her because they look at her and they see a walking dollar sign when she stands near. Because I'm telling you, once her fame goes down and she's not making the money that she's making now, she won't be welcomed over there with Christie's. No. And I just don't understand why people can't see that. Look how many lives that she affected. because we know that she planned this out for at least 2 years. She was on a dating site just looking for the right one to manipulate. And she found the right one in Nicholas. Nicholas begged her to run away with him, but she wouldn't do it. She would get mad whenever he said anything about running away because she wanted her mother dead. Think about that. She wanted her dead. And people still believe her. That's what I'm trying. I'm honestly trying to figure this out. How people believe her. Because every single story she has, there's a different version every time. I want you guys to watch this. I got this over from Radiant Brit. She put this together. But this is one example of the lies and the many different tales that Gypsy does, because she never tells the same story. We know that Nick does. He tells the same story of what happened that night, but Jip Dip don't. And what's so funny is she lies about everything. So hold on. I want y'all to watch this. This is just one thing that she lied about and told different stories, and it's according to who she speaks with. Hold on, I want you to watch this.
Like, I missed out on all those like milestone moments, like going to kindergarten, and I attended school for 1 year. Kindergarten.
And how far did you go in school?
About the 2nd grade.
Remember going to school?
I've never been to school.
Never got to go to kindergarten, pre-K?
Guys, that's only one example of her telling the many lies. I mean, at this point, she needs to get one of those back in the day trapper keepers to keep up with who she's telling what to, because it just doesn't make any sense. But I tell you what the biggest thing that doesn't make any sense is, why isn't the mainstream media picking up on these lies? The FOIAs are out there. The truth is out there in black and white from the police department that did their so-called investigation. Because we know that once she did her plea deal, the investigation stopped, which I think is so wrong. Because I'm telling you, if she went to court, this would be a totally different thing. And what people aren't getting is she wasn't found guilty. She admitted it. She admitted to being a schmurder. And why will that not come out of her mouth? She said that she's a perpetrator. But why won't she say that she's a murderer? That's what she is. She admitted to it when she took that plea deal with the state of Missouri. But still, people are backing her like she's some kind of great thing. And then I caught this part too, whenever people ask her, why didn't you just stand up? She wants to go by and say, oh, you wouldn't ask anybody else that went through some kind of abuse. But Jip Dip, you didn't go through abuse. Not like you're claiming. We've all gone through some type of abuse one way or another in our life. That's the way we learn. Without a test, we don't have a testimony. But you can't lie about your testimony. Well, you can, but you cannot expect everybody to believe you, because the facts just aren't there. The people that can actually do reasonable thinking, they see through it. They see through all of this. And they're not going to be played by your narrative because it's ridiculous. The plain, hard truth is she manipulated an autistic man with low IQ that was collecting a permanent disability check. She was on him, manipulating him for at least 2 years. She would not run away with him, would not do any of that. And it's just sad. And I think for some reason they still have their claws into Nicholas Godejohn, and that's why he's not speaking. I think he needs to tell his story. And, they need to quit showing him as he's the monster when Gypsy's the monster. She's the one that manipulated it. Because if it wasn't for her, guess what? This crime would have never taken place. And until more people know about it, I know I'm going to keep talking about it because it's sickening that she is making not only a living off of blood money, but she's also getting rich off of it. And she has not even paid any of these places back that she stole money, trips, equipment from, and a house. That's sad. Guys, let me know what you think down in the comments. I love each and every one of you. And I hope to talk to you soon. Bye, guys.